Because we take this job so serious.
The f is that? Sorry, pardon me. My apologies.
What in the all types of blue hell?
This is Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson.
Dear God, only wise. Only wise. Jay Spivey in a couple of minutes, but let me take this time to ask you guys for help because there's a lot of stuff going on. Tomorrow is the 1 year anniversary of my cancer surgery, and doing everything I can to help my family go forward. So if y'all could support my efforts via GoFundMe, the ID you need is E283E211. The site you need is gofund.me/E283E211. And to keep a promise to my baby girl, Cheyenne, she's trying to get home too. So if y'all could help her out, that would be much, much appreciated. GoFund.me/509DEE0E. That's 509 DEE0E. I want to tell you, I've had a ton of fun today. A ton. And I didn't think I'd be able to go on at all, especially when the regular time came and went, and I still wasn't feeling good at all. I still wasn't. 34 after the hour, and it's time for a few of these. And it's about that time that Jay Spivey joins us, and boy, we're going to have some fun this morning. Good morning, Jay. How are you?
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
I'm good, man. Good to have you. Good to have you back on a Monday.
Thank you.
We're just going to dive right in. Why are the Panthers interested in CJ Stroud?
I don't understand why anybody's so enamored about any of these top quarterbacks. None of them are that good. I honestly don't see any of them as being franchise quarterbacks.
I don't either. I got crucified by saying Bryce Young nor CJ Stroud nor Anthony Richardson for that matter were ready. And I got crucified for that.
Well, I mean, we all know the Panthers need a quarterback. But
yes,
to trade their entire whatever for Stroud
for a chance
Young, you're selling your soul for that?
Yeah.
It's not like a Peyton Manning
selling their
out
soul
there
for CJ Stroud.
Sounds like a Peyton Manning out there or Joe Burrow or whomever else.
Exactly. No, there are no franchise quarterbacks available. And I gotta get you, I gotta get to you on this. Tell me why all of a sudden the interest is drawing toward Anthony Richardson.
I don't get that either because he hasn't proven it all in Florida. So how's he going to prove that in the NFL?
I don't get it. I don't get why these quarterbacks are so being they're being made out to be something they're not.
I think they see something like what Jalen Hurts has done. It's still, I know Jalen Hurts had a great season, but he's still not really proven he can be a passer.
Thank you.
They see
not a
Jalen
pocket passer.
So they well, Anthony Richardson's going to be Jalen Hurts. Well, we don't know that.
No, we don't, and we're not going to be able to tell for a couple of years yet. Because Anthony Richardson cannot come into a team and make an immediate impact. I don't see it.
All. He's going to sit a couple of years probably.
And he's in the draft. Why?
And you just look at why on earth did the Packers draft Love a couple of years ago? They didn't need to.
No, they didn't.
And now you pissed off Aaron Rodgers, and now he's going to leave.
Eventually, he's going to leave. Because he's handcuffing two franchises.
He sure is.
He's handcuffing two franchises right now. And it just doesn't make sense to me of why he's handcuffing two friends, of why he's doing this.
Out of spite. I don't think he really
Nothing.
wants to play for the Jets, but he wants to get out of Green Bay so bad he doesn't care.
Yeah. That's the case. He should have done it after 2019, after getting embarrassed at Levi's Stadium twice.
So that goes to the 2020 draft. Why did they draft Love? There was no reason to.
None whatsoever. None whatsoever.
At the time, he was, what, 34, 35?
34.
And you drafted him for no reason? When there was nothing to show he was diminishing?
Nothing. He won an MVP in 2020.
Then you draft absolutely no offensive players, whether it be linemen, receivers, tight ends, at all.
Nothing.
Nobody.
Nothing. There was nothing.
So why are the Panthers doing this?
I guess they found something in Stroud or Young, and I'm thinking Stroud more than anybody else. They think Stroud's going to be their franchise quarterback, and you're not going to be able to measure that for a couple of years.
Well, I go back to everybody talks about Justin Fields. What has Justin Fields done that's so great?
Not a doggone thing.
Ohio State quarterbacks have not fared well in the NFL. They have not.
I mean,
I just don't see it with Justin Fields. And I certainly don't see it with C.J. Stroud.
The last Ohio State quarterback of note to actually do something before C.J. Stroud was Craig Krenzel. And Krenzel didn't do that much.
Look how horrible Dwayne Haskins was.
Yes. And I mentioned Craig Krenzel because Krenzel actually led them to a championship. He led them to the national championship against Miami. And the Panthers have sacrificed David Tepper again, like you always said, David Tepper.
Yep.
Have sold their soul for C.J. Stroud.
Totally.
I mean, they bring in Adam Thielen, which is a great move for them. But again, I go back to who's going to throw it to him?
Yep. I mean, I told you guys last week, I think overall, other than that trade, and I know that's a big deal, I get that. But overall, I think the Panthers have had a pretty good offseason in terms of free agency.
Yes.
I really do believe that.
I believe that too. I believe that too, but you still have one huge problem to solve, and that's at the biggest position on the field.
And that huge needs to be underlined, bold-faced,
and capitalized.
I mean, they have had this issue since Superman and Newton had that one good year in 15.
And that was a half a year. That was a half a year where he led them to Super Bowl 50, got pummeled by the Denver Broncos, and then opening night the next year got pummeled again. Hasn't been the same since. And it's like Cole said, it was the opening game following the Super Bowl where the Broncos and Panthers played at Mile High Stadium. And Newton, if you think you got pummeled in the Super Bowl, y'all should have watched that game in Denver where he got obliterated.
And for the Panthers apologists and the Newton apologists who said he got unfair treatment, no, he didn't.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He got exactly the treatment that he deserved because he was supposed to be this great quarterback, and he just simply wasn't.
No, he didn't.
He just simply wasn't. And I don't know why they have there are two big problems for Carolina. First of all, who's going to throw to Adam Thielen? Second, who's going to tote the rock 30 times a game?
Well, Miles Sanders, I guess.
And they signed Miles Sanders for what? Behind a porous offensive line?
Yeah, that's another issue they haven't fit. And for what? I told you guys this a couple of years ago. They're one of the few teams in the NFL that does not have a productive tight end.
Exactly. Not since Greg Olsen retired.
And I don't see that being fixed.
I don't see that either. I mean, there's a couple of great tight ends in the draft. One out of South Dakota State, which I'm hyping up because I love the way the kid plays in Tucker Kraft, but they won't look at him. They won't look at him. And they bring in Miles Sanders for what?
Because they have nothing else, I guess.
Speaking of nothing else, baseball happened over the weekend. And the Wake Forest Demon Deacons, in terms of college baseball, the number 2 team in the nation. How come they're not getting any love from everybody else?
They're not even getting. I'm here. What's to say on it? They're not getting any love in their own city,
which is sad to me, because the guy that's the play-by-play voice for them, Ty Collins, my good friend, is having a ball calling their games, and yet no station in the Triad area is covering them the way they need to be covered. You're talking about the number 2 team in the nation in college baseball right now.
They swept Miami the weekend before last. They just swept Clemson at Clemson this past weekend.
At Clemson.
And they play NC State here in Winston-Salem this weekend. And I've heard no pub, no build-up, nothing at all. And they're 26-3.
And again, as we mentioned, the number 2 team in the nation, and yet they're getting no love whatsoever. None. You know, and I'm told I'm not supposed to talk about baseball on this program. Ha!
It's your show. You can talk about whatever you want.
I could ring up Ty Collins and have him come on this week to talk about those Demon Deacons.
I know Ty quite well. He would love to talk about them.
I know he would, and they're swinging the hell out of the bat right now.
They sure are, and they're getting great pitching too.
Yes, they are. The only difficult game in the last 6 that I've listened to was the opener at Clemson. That's it. The only difficult game they've had in the last 6 was the opener at Clemson, and they wind up winning that one and the rest of the series going away.
What gets me, Snowman, is that Wake for a lot of years has not recruited locally for a lot of reasons, mainly because it's so expensive to play college baseball there.
Right.
Because, as you all know, you don't get full scholarships in baseball.
Right.
Which is ridiculous.
Ridiculous to me, too.
Wake has 3 players from probably a 20 to 30-mile radius of here who get no pub whatsoever.
None.
Including their number 3 starter Saturday, who was highly recruited and could have easily gone the first round of the draft. He's from Reagan High School right here in Winston-Salem.
Mm-hmm.
They have another kid right up the road, Pilot Mountain, 25 miles from here. Seth Keener, he's also pitching. And the coach's son, Tom Walter's son, Chase, is also pitching for Wake Forest. And they don't get any pub whatsoever.
None. And it's sad. It's sad that Wake Forest baseball is not getting the and it goes back to where they ended last year playing, I believe, Texas A&M. They played Texas A&M in the regionals. And now they're the number 2 team in the nation.
I can promise you this. And they're a good team, don't get me wrong. But if this were Carolina and they were here, they would get nothing but coverage.
They would get blown up. They would get blown up coverage that they don't deserve because they haven't played the same way Wake Forest has.
And I am not going to, the paper where I used to work, I worked there for 28 and a half years, as you well know.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a ton on their plate. I get that. And I am not disrespecting them at all.
Right.
But they really kind of ignored them through the last couple of weeks, if nothing else.
Yes.
And I know they were really short staffed. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But at least do something.
Why didn't they bring you back? I mean,
please, that is not happening.
I know.
As much as I'd like to, that is not coming. That is not happening.
Yeah, it's too much like right as you and
because
I
know too much. I don't mean that negative. I mean, I know too much about too many things in sports.
Yeah.
And that bothers them that I know so much.
Gee, this explains the end of my run with the Chicago Tribune. Been there. And it's not fun.
I mean,
it's not a fun thing.
Not that everybody else is not well rounded, because we are.
Right.
But I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I knew about that they had no idea about. Even to this point. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of stuff, and I'm being totally underutilized. And I love stringing, freelancing. I get it, but it's not the same as it used to be.
No, it's not. It's not. I freelanced for the Tribune for 5 years, and the more knowledge I gained, the quicker I was shoved out the door. And I was just
Right.
covering high school sports with the Tribune.
Right.
And when their department turned over, I was sent packing.
There are only a handful of people in this state who know high school sports as well as I do. And I'm covering one team right now. One.
Yeah. We're gonna have to put a stop to that real quick. Here's a question from Ryan McCarthy. Will North Carolina get an MLB team? And if so, which city is the best to host one, Charlotte or Raleigh?
As much as I would like that, and I've heard a lot of rumors saying as much, I just don't see Charlotte getting a Major League Baseball team because I think Nashville's going to get one, and then probably a West Coast team.
Mm-hmm.
Probably Vegas is the most likely team.
Yeah, Vegas
and then
is more than likely.
What I think is going to happen at some point, I don't think there's any question that Montreal is going to get a team back. So you're going to look at two teams for sure. I don't know how that's going to work, but I just don't see Charlotte getting a team. And plus, the Braves are going to fight that hard if Charlotte gets a team.
Yeah.
They're just going to fight that hard.
Yeah.
Because, Charlotte's only about 3.5 hours away from Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so they're going to fight that hard.
Yeah. Well, if Montreal gets a team back, and I see that happening too, will they be called the Expos?
That's what they should call them.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, apparently they're clamoring for a team up there, and all the major issue up there for years was that stadium. Well, that's not going to be
Olympic Stadium.
Apparently, they already have all the planning and the resources for the new stadium now, so that's not even an issue.
And now
they should have moved the Rays up there, but that's too late now. Apparently, should have moved the Rays up there
because that ballpark in St. Petersburg is horrible.
Horrible.
Tropicana Field is horrible. I've seen it once, and I will, like Wrigley Field, I'll never go back.
And I think and I know that Nashville's fairly close to Atlanta too, but Nashville's got a lot more pull than Charlotte does, I think.
Absolutely they do. Absolutely they do.
And Nashville's really big. And they're building a new football stadium. They just announced that a couple months ago, which is going to have all kind of, not just football, but all kind of acts. And they're probably going to get the Super Bowl there eventually, I would imagine.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, Nashville's a great city. It really is.
Mm-hmm. And they're going to draw a Super Bowl there.
Oh,
when they build the new stadium, they're going to draw a Super Bowl there.
It's not going to be just a music capital of the world. It's going to be there's going to be a lot of sports going on there.
It's going to be a sports capital. And you know Chicago's trying to do the same thing, move to Arlington Heights so they can draw a Super Bowl there. And that's the dumbest thing I ever heard in my life.
They should never leave the city of Chicago.
And yet they're going to. Within 2 years, they're going to leave Chicago. And that's stupid. It's stupid. Make the improvements to Soldier Field that you should have made the first time you expanded Soldier Field.
Yeah.
The first time you expanded Soldier Field when the Bears left to go to Champaign in 2002, that is when the dome should have been in place. It should have been in place then. And all of the amenities that are necessary that you're proposing in this new rebuild should have been in place then.
George Hallis has to be rolling over in his grave that they're even contemplating leaving Chicago. And his daughter is the key person here.
Yes.
He has to be rolling over in his grave that she's doing this.
Mm-hmm. And not blinking about it either. Not blinking about it. Is it kind of the same when your Braves left Fulton County?
I don't think listen, that's like the thing that people don't want to talk about. This like everybody knows about.
Yeah.
They left that area. They had two stadiums basically right next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
When they left Fulton County, they moved right next door because of the Olympics. And then they kept whining and complaining that they had to get out of downtown Atlanta because it was hurting their crowd. Well, that's not really the issue. There's no transportation, but to me, it was more of a racial issue. They want to get out of downtown Atlanta. because the core of their fans don't live in downtown Atlanta.
Right.
So they moved to Cobb County, 20 miles away, and there's really nothing there other than, of course, they built this, what they call, what do they call it up there? Oh, the battery in Atlanta. So, I mean, it's just kind of like a little entertainment facility they built around the stadium now.
Yeah. It's an entertainment facility they built around.
Now everybody's trying to do similar stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody's having similar stuff done now. They're supposed to be expanding New Comiskey Park to bring that attendance back over 40,000 or 42,000.
Well, Reinsdorf, when they built that stadium initially, when all these other nice stadiums are being built, kind of the retro stadiums like Camden Yards and all those other ones, they built a stadium that kind of resembled like the one in the 70s and 80s.
No,
and that's not going to appeal to people in Chicago.
No, it's not.
When you got one of the most iconic stadiums in the world in Wrigley Field, and then you have New Comiskey.
The last time I was at New Comiskey Park, Scott Podsednik walked off in Game 2 of the World Series. And that was the loudest I ever heard that joint. Ever. I haven't been back. And I don't think I'm going to go back.
Trust me, because the White Sox high A minor league team is here and wants to see them. I cover a lot of their players coming up. So I know how much talent they have.
Yeah.
And for Chicago it's always going to play second fiddle in that city. I don't care how sorry the Cubs are.
Yeah.
But nobody really backs the White Sox unless you live on the South Side.
And it's true. It's true. I've had so many people ask me, why am I a White Sox fan? I lived on the South Side.
Right.
Most of my life.
Right.
Most of my life I lived on the South Side. That's not leaving. There's 3 generations of White Sox fans. My grandpa, my dad, and me. And they have the most recent division title, 2021. But you know what? The Cub fans are going to scream, well, we have the most recent World Series title. Well, how long did it take y'all to get that?
Right. It's the same thing in like New York. The Jets will always play second fiddle to the Giants. The Angels, even though they're not really in LA, despite what they want to tell you, they will always play second fiddle to the Dodgers. And the Clippers will always play second fiddle to the Lakers.
And the Angels are wasting 2 generational talents.
That is an understatement too.
They're wasting 2 generational talents in Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani.
They're the 2 best players in baseball, and they're just being totally wasted.
It's like you said about Justin Herbert. The Chargers are wasting Justin Herbert the same way the Angels are wasting Ohtani and Mike Trout.
Right.
And how can a team be so greedy to waste generational talent like that?
Well, the Chargers, for the most part, have always done that. The Spanish family's been crazy.
That they have.
Look at the idiot they have for head coach right now.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, my God. And then they kept him on this year for some unknown reason.
And they choked away a 27-0 lead in Jacksonville. That should have been a walk-away win, and they blew it.
And they had every chance to fire him and didn't fire him.
2 years.
But yet they fired Marty Schottenheimer years ago for no reason.
For none whatsoever, because he took him to a 12-4 record and didn't do much in the playoffs, and so they cut him. They fired him.
The best coach they've ever had, other than Coryell. And you go fire him for no reason.
The only other name you could put in that group is Bobby Ross, because he took him to Super Bowl 29.
True, that's true.
Only other coach you could put in that conversation is Bobby Ross, and because he went into Pittsburgh and beat them
for
the AFC Championship in 1994.
Sure did.
Boy, the crazy stuff that surrounds sports right now. Jay Spivey joins us as he does every single Monday at the bottom of hour 2. Thank you, Jay, so much, my friend. Great talking sports with you as always, and I'll see you next Monday.
Thanks, Snowman. Have a great week.
Thanks, man. And now, with all that being done, I'm going to blow this joint. Have a great day. God bless. Remember to make your next move your best move. And always remember, if your dreams don't scare you, then they are not big enough. Dream big, do bigger. I promise I'm going to get a full night's sleep tonight, and I'll be back at my regular time tomorrow. So long, everybody.